Hi everyone. In this video, we'll be having a look on the admin panel in Google Analytics 4 and the features in admin view and the key property settings in GA4. And First, we'll have a look on the user interface of the admin panel. So, just a second. Click on admin. Yeah. Here we can observe two different columns, right? These are the settings for two different things basically, and the two components are account and property. So let's have a look on both the components one by one. First, the most important column is the property column, and we'll have a look. Okay. So in the property settings, we have done this earlier while creating an account. Right. So let's have a look on the property settings. And the first thing, which is the setup assistant, it is basically a guidebook or the rule book that will guide you, like where you have to go, linkings and all. Yeah. So we'll start with property settings first. So yeah. So we have already created this while creating an account, and there's a beautiful feature available on this page for moving the property, right? So just a second. Yeah, so you can see here this move property. What is it? So in Google Analytics 4, property moving feature allows us to, move our data into different account with with a couple of clicks, right? So without having to change our tracking code and without losing all the historical data what we produced earlier. So, and the main reason behind this was when a customer requests the complete access to their data. If a client is asking his data back or he wants to have a look on this entire data, so it was a bigger issue for GA3 or the Universal Analytics, right? So in GA4, we can move the data for client A, even if it's mingled with multiple data streams, right? Client A, B, C, right? So this issue was resolved in GA4, right? And this move to bin, we can delete a property as well if we don't want it, right? And as we move down, there's a very important critical feature, if I say, uh, just a sec, this one, which is property access management, right? So if we see to the hierarchy in the services or the user scenario, starting from the account users, then the property users, and then the page users, right? So let's have a look there. So property users, just a second. Yeah. So let's have a look in this hierarchy where the property users are those Google Analytics users who are assigned for few roles, and they can be assigned as multiple permissions for multiple permissions as well. So yeah, so one by one we can have a look, right? So the first is administrator, or he'll be having full control of that particular property. It will allow him or her to, add, edit, or delete a property, and all the views or filters and goals he can change in that particular property, and it automatically inherits all the permissions which are, moving down in the hierarchy system. So the second is editor, right? So editor, what he can do is he can, he can create or he can share, and earlier it was collaborate, so he can collaborate with his personal assets or the personal data, and all of the views of that particular property, right? So third is analyst, right? In this permission he can see and configure the data, He can sorry, yeah, he can manipulate the data within the reports via reporting filters, custom segments, secondary dimensions, etc. We'll discuss this topics later on, and he can create or he can share his own personal assets as well, what we discussed earlier. And the fourth is viewer, right? So in viewer, he only can view the view the data, and he can see the report data, because if he's not having that kind of knowledge or hands-on Google Analytics, then he may act as a loss for many users, right? And the last one is none, like no roles assigned for him, for that thing. And there is a similarity between this account access management and property access management. And there's a slight change in that, because in account access management, you can share your account to some other guy who is more responsible and whom you can trust on. So there is not much difference. Just you have to add his ID and Gmail account, and then you can share your data or share your account with him, right? Now comes the data streams, right? So earlier in Universal Analytics, we had views, right? But now we have data streams with us. And so there might be a question in your mind that what is data stream, right? So the information that feeds into our Google Analytics property, and it comes from the data streams only, right? So we may compare and aggregate a user activity across many platforms, you can say, right? By having a data stream for our website or other mobile applications, Android and iOS, right? So let's have a look there. There are some few points I want to add here. Like we may have single property for each data stream, and we can adjust the filter throughout our reporting view and analyze the data, right? So, and for the web stream, when we talk about, we'll always notice few important notations, right? Like a stream URL, stream name, measurement ID, stream ID. Let's see. Yeah. So just click on data streams. Click here. Yeah, so this interface, you're already seen this interface in the previous video. So while creating that, while you know implementation of these tags, so notations like stream URL, stream name, measurement ID, and stream ID you can see here, and similarly for mobile application, what you will see is the platform type, whether it's iOS or Android, a package name, because since you're using Java in the background or the backend, so package name, stream ID, and the Firebase ID, right? So let's have a look here. And in the previous version, what we saw, right? So in this particular area, we had views, right? In this particular area, yeah, in this particular section. So what kind of views we were talking about? So there was a master view, right? There were views on the website excluding the web traffic. What are these things? We'll discuss it later. And like master views, such as means it means lowercasing the data, right? It's a catch-all for all the data, since view filters are set up which permanently affects the data, in which master view can show us everything, like unauthorized access from a Wi-Fi network or a program in our website. So multiple things like that, right? And at that time, we used to create filters, right? Filters are created just to manipulate the data, or enhancing the quality of data. And cross domain was a function used there in GA4, is comparatively easy in GA3, because we had to go to tag manager and configure that particular container. So that all things have become easier here. So in our website and the application, if the website and the application is linked somehow, okay, so we can do a cross domain tracking as well. So we'll have a look how we are doing that. So I have only one data stream as of now, but if you have two, right? For example, if you have connected your Android or your application to a website, so what you can do is you can just click it here, go to more tagging settings. Yeah, so here it's a feature where you can just configure your domain, and there will be a specified list, and then you can just combine both of them, and so many other features are also there. So we'll have a look on measurement protocol API secrets as well. So what are these things? Okay, it's measurement protocol is a set of rules which our application must follow, and in order to send raw hit data directly to the Google Analytics server, for that thing we have some certain rules for that, right? So for that like controlling that thing, we have a feature for that. So when you click that more tagging options, what we are saying here is define internal traffic, right? So there is a slight difference between internal versus external traffic, right? So internal traffic represents any page views or visit that have come from users that from other part or our part of our analysis, right? So they are connected in that particular manner, and so to decide whether to filter out the internal traffic, which comes down to how much traffic our website has, and how large is the internal team is. So that setting is done inside the define internal traffic. So when we click that feature, so there should be a rule name, right? So we'll have a look how it works. Yeah, so there should be a rule name, okay, and what kind of match type we are setting for that particular IP address. So yeah, so CDAR notation is the main component here, and we'll see this thing later, and the value of that IP address. So in these things, this feature is working, right? Then the next thing is list unwanted referrals. Let me show you. Yeah, so this one. So technically speaking, the traffic from any website who's coming to our website is referral traffic, right? So that's a very simple definition. And so in traffic acquisition report, if we filter our referral, if we filter out the referral as a session source, so we'll get the data that we are looking for, and we'll see that later, right? So next is adjust session timeout, right? So what is that? So there's a default session timeout that is of 30 minutes in a website, and let's have a look. Yeah, so you can see it's a default setting, and let's say the number of session that lasted for 10 seconds. That's a default value for your engaged sessions, right? And if I had one more conversion event, that we can extend it to 60 seconds or more, right? So that settings we are doing it from here. So the next thing is collecting the Universal Analytics events, right? So this feature sends events to both your Universal Analytics and the Google Analytics 4 properties by dual tagging feature, and we can keep our Universal Analytics implementation in one place while we are building our GA4 implementation. So that's how it works, right? The next important feature is data settings, right? And this setting components has three features, I would say. Let's have a look. Yeah, the first one is data collection, data retention, and data filters. So let's have a look. Yeah, So what are Google Signals? The first question appears, right? And where you have an option to create, your own Google Signals. This Google Signals is a feature that allows Google to collect data on users who are both signed into their Google accounts, right? So that's their own particular data, and on a website or app, uh, and have turned on ad personalization for their accounts. So basically, this data is Google's own data, right? And one more function or one more feature is that to tie up all the data what we have collected in our GA4 or Google Analytics 4 reports, right? And we can enable this feature. And what Google also do is they will try and connect all the users who have enabled this feature, and they'll connect across the devices using a pseudo Google ID with a pseudo code, basically, right? And there's an option, you know, where you can where geo control setting for every country you can select for, right? So let's have a look there. So when you click that setting option there, so you can see all the countries list will drop down as a menu, and you can you know choose it from there, right? So now data retention. Okay, this is a very important part. So the data in which is an aggregate collection, right? Over time will not go anyway. We'll have it there. So, but the ability to create custom reports will go, right? The data will have, but we can't do anything with that particular data. So this setting controls how long we're able to, go back in time and use that particular data for a set of reports when we create custom funnels or custom paddings and basic custom reports as well. So by default it's showing 2 months event data retention, right? And the tenure is set automatically, so consider it changing to 14 months, and that's very important, right? So I'll simply choose 14 months and I'll save, right? And the next is data filters, right? So once we have a look here, then I'll start. Yeah, so in this setting, we can include or exclude certain event data via a feature called data filters, right? And this filter on our data is permanent and cannot be reversed. That's the important thing to remember here. And basically in GA4, there are two types of filters are present, which is developer traffic and internal traffic, right? So mainly we focus on internal traffic as of now, and let's have a look. Yeah, so here will be an option for developer traffic as well, and you can see the traffic coming to our website from other employees, suppliers, or any other service providers. And the state of the filter can be set as well of testing and active or inactive. Active and inactive in both these both options will remove the data from GA means Google Analytics 4 for a while, right? So next we have a default reporting identity. Just a second. And it identifies and categorizes users throughout our reports, right? And we have few options here, like the device only option, the user ID, and the Google Signals, right? So what is device ID? I'll give you a brief intro, right? Also known as client ID, very simple. And random numbers or random integers are combined, and a random ID is generated, stored in the first party cookie, right? That's the important thing. And when you visit a site for the very first time, so this random client ID is generated and gets saved in your first means cookie as a cookie, right? And the tenure is set for every storage that is of 2 years, right, by default. And user ID, that's introduced within Universal Analytics earlier. And we ourselves set this ID with a unique identifier. And let's break this sentence into more deeper. And our authentication system, there is an authentication system that assign them this ID, right? And then we have Google Signals, we already discussed earlier. We can enable this option, and only available for those users who have turned on their ads personalization and interact between the cross platforms. If you have enabled the button on the data collection feature, the data collected has been enabled for the Google Signals collections as well. Right. So this was a brief about reporting identity, and we have one more thing here. If we change the setting to device ID, the reports what we were generating in that Google Analytics 4 will extract the data from the first party cookie itself, right? So next comes the data import, right? So let's have a look. So what is this? Okay, so here we are creating a data source, right? And how we are doing that, I'll tell you. Let us it lets us upload information from a comma separated value file, right, or CSV file, and we can integrate into for our analytics property, and this imported data may be applied in analytics as well, analytics data which is collected, right? And once the report is produced, depending on the type of data uploaded, we can you know create some feedbacks. Then we have attribution settings, right? And this is one of the important features. So let's have a look. Yeah, so these are pre-built models that defines how credit for conversion should be distributed to various interactions or touch points in a conversion path before the custom credit rule, right? And what is a custom credit rule, if you ask me? I'll just give you a flexible answer. It gives you the most flexibility in applying attribution credit, and may include conditions as well. And that's all for custom credit rules as of now. And we were discussing 7 types of attribution models. Uh, there are present in GA4, right? So first one is data driven, then last click, then first click, linear model is there, position based model is there, time decay model is there, and at last the last driven, right? So we can have a look here as well, right? So if you're asking like what are they, right? So I'll take a simple example in one of the models, and that will be very quick. So quickly explain you the model one. So last touch model, in this attribution modeling, 100% conversion is attributed to the last acquisition channel, or in that particular funnel, right? So let's follow a conversion path. For example, there's a person A, and he's reading a blog or a post, and in the end he saw an advertisement, and he read the product review for that, and he visit a website for comparing any two products, and then he made a purchase, right? So in these manner we are generating the data, right? And we have something called look back window, right? So what is this? Like for example, if I okay, how far how far back in the time we want to track the user visits, or specified by a by this particular filter, or feature, look back window, and a value of values set for 30 days, which is recommended already by default, and that implies that only visits made by our users 30 days prior to the conversion they will be considered, right? So in these manner we are operating here. Then we have linking sections as well. So let's have a look there. Yeah, so here you can see Google ad links are there. The most important thing is a BigQuery link, right? So first we'll talk about Google ad linking, right? It's a powerful integration that improves our remarketing, right? Uh, this is a very important line, and we need to understand this very deeply. we can effectively build our remarketing audiences directly from GA4 to find better audiences. What we call in marketing is target audiences. This particular section I'll target. And we can exclude users, we can include more valuable users, and to do these kind of adjustment and so on, we are using Google Ad links, right? And I'll take one another example of the big query links. So it's a simple process. A simple process is followed here. Okay, let's have a look. First, you have to go to the library, right, and activate the BigQuery there, and then under Google Cloud API, you have to enable that BigQuery API, and you'll be getting a link. So that link you have to paste it here. So in this manner we are operating, and this was all about the major things or the major features in the admin panel. So thank you so much, and I've learned so much from this video, and I hope you'll be getting the point what I'm saying.